Hi, welcome to Liberate from Hate. So today I want to talk about our identities, our outward identities that we maintain. Those that are based on gender, religion, nationality, ethnicity, all of these political affiliation, all of these outward identities that we think define us. And so these identities we love a lot of times because it creates association, it creates community, it creates connection. At least that's what we think it does. And it can be a good thing to have that connection with others as long as we don't take it too seriously and we don't create our own self-worth and our own identities from them. Because what ends up happening is that identity that we maintain creates an us, but then it therefore necessitates a them. And the us versus them mentality is the source of all conflict in the world. It is a source of misunderstanding, of fear, of derision, division, hate, and worse, even violence. Obviously, we know about a lot of violence that goes on in the world. And it's all because of outward identities that we maintain that creates the us and them mentalities and creates all of this conflict. And so what we want to do is we really want to appreciate these outward identities. We can appreciate our nationality. We can appreciate and love our religion. We can appreciate and love our ethnicity and our gender, all of those things. But to the extent that we are gripping them, like white knuckle driving, then that's going to be a problem for us. It leaves us vulnerable. Because what ends up happening is if we are gripping those with a death grip, then anytime somebody in the them category criticizes that identity, they can criticize all of this, all of that, all liberals, all conservatives, all Democrats, Republicans, all white people, all black people, all Americans, all Christians, all Muslims, all this, that. Then naturally, because if we have a deep and a death grip connection to our identity, then we're going to feel a personal attack. And then that takes us out of our own power, because that takes us out of our own balance, our own compassion, our own sense of self-worth and who we are, and it engenders in us anger and frustration and resentment and hateful things and hateful thoughts and judgmental thoughts. And you end up getting this pendulum of swing of energy of somebody attacks me, I'm going to attack them, then they're going to attack me, and then I'm going to attack them. And we just go back and forth, and we get into this downward spiral that's just terrible. And it doesn't do anybody any good. And so the lesson that we can learn from our identities is twofold. Well, it's probably multiple, but twofold to begin with. One is for those of in the us category, those identities that we hold, loosen our grip on those, because we have to remember that what anybody says or does says more about them than it does us or anything else. And so remember that if somebody's going to attack your identity, whatever it is that you hold dear, remember that that says more about them. So don't get all in an uproar. Don't lose your own sense of balance. Don't lose your own compassion and heart, because that is going to give away your power. That creates a vulnerability in you. And you don't want to give away your power to anybody. And I don't mean power in terms of an oppressive power over others, but a power over yourself. Don't let others provoke a response out of you. You choose your response. You choose who you're going to be, how you're going to be, when you're going to be, all of these things. Don't allow anybody else to take you out of that. And it does say more about them than it does you. I have a story. It's really interesting. A friend of mine was driving down the road, and somebody cut her off, slid into her lane very, very close to her. And many of us would have been angry, have been hostile, have said a few choice words, but she didn't. Her concern was, oh gosh, I'm so glad I didn't hit the back end of them. She had nothing negative to say about that person. And it was all complete calm, no negativity, just a gratefulness that she didn't rear-end them. And I don't know about you, but that would not have been my first reaction. How many of you would have had that reaction? But clearly the difference was not that somebody different cut me off and somebody different cut her off. But the reaction that I would have or that you might have versus what she had is really different. And so the difference is us. And the difference is how we respond. And so how we respond says more about who we are than it does them. Just as when they say something about us, it says more about them than it does us. So whoever is the speaker or the actor is the one that's really telling who they are, and it's not anything else. And so to take it on the other side, so if those of us who have criticisms, misunderstandings, concerns, fears, whatever have you, some difference with an identity of a them to us, whether it's a different religion, a different ethnicity, a different nationality, a different gender, a different whatever. And we really have a legitimate concern, complaint, whatever it is. The last thing we want to do is attack that identity as a whole. Don't attack the symbol and the emblem or the icon that represents that identity, whether that's a flag or a religious symbol or a book or anything that would essentially symbolize the entire group of people, because no two people of the same identity are going to think the exact same thing. They're not going to say the exact same thing. They're not going to believe the same thing, and they're not going to do the same thing. And so to do this broad swathing of criticism or disrespecting of a symbol that represents an entire identity you're never going to be heard. Nobody is going to listen to you because what you're doing is you're attacking them personally, because they've identified with that identity. And so when you attack that identity, you're attacking them personally. So your complaint, your concern, your question, your whatever it is going to fall on deaf ears. And so then you're going to have as equal fervor as you attack that identity, equal fervor back. And they're going to attack you, and they're not going to listen to anything you say. But if you were to have a non-judgmental, a legitimate, calm, say, here's my question, here's my concern, here's my complaint, here's my misunderstanding, and you're not criticizing and you're not condemning the entire identity, chances are you're going to be heard. And chances are even greater that people from that identity will actually agree with you. And then you can work on things together, because you have common ground. You have a common thought, you have a common belief, you have a common concern, and you haven't attacked anybody personally or an entire identity. And so when you think of these identities, because they do create us and them, they do create division, they create connection, but they also create division because they draw a line in the sand. And that's not always a good thing. Yes, you want to have your own sense of who you are and be proud of that. But then with others who are different from you in whatever way, shape, or form, have a respect for them the way you would expect and you would want somebody to have a respect for your identities. And so it goes both ways. And that's the way we can find common ground, because in reality, we are all connected. We all live in the same place. We all breathe the same air. We all have a soul. We all have a divine essence in us. And that's who we really are. Who we really are has nothing to do with those outward identities. Who we are in our soul, in our being, in our hearts, has zero to do with our gender, our nationality, our political affiliation, our religion, or any of those things. And so when we really think about who we are, we want to take those identities, those outward identities that we hold, and just hold them loosely, hold them out here, knowing that those are something that we appreciate, that we can relate to, that gives us a sense of community, communion, connectedness. But hold them loosely. Don't allow others to provoke a reaction out of us, or to affect our self-worth within those identities, or to provoke anything at all from us. Don't give up our power on those. Know who we are in our heart. Who we are is who we are in our heart. So I'd like to invite you to think, who are you? Where is your heart today? So we'd love for you to follow us on our Facebook page on Liberate from Hate, or our website, liberatefromhate.com. We also have a blog, liberatefromhate.blogspot, and we have some Liberate from Hate t-shirts and things we'd love for you to be walking around in. So follow us and look for more from us. Liberate from hate, y'all.